Not gonna lie, guys, this was a solid episode of Shield Hero. Episode 7 feels like a return to form. It really does. It's a new arc, and it feels like the roots of Shield Hero. Like, if you remember how Shield Hero started out, with seeing Raftalia and Naofumi leveling up around episode 2 and 3, that is the overall vibe I got while watching episode 7. Obviously, certain circumstances are different than how it was at the beginning of the story, but in general, this is a solid episode. Like, from what I've seen so far from source readers, for instance, people that have read the light novel and the manga, they have just straight up said that this is a really good episode. And hearing those words as an anime only makes me so freaking happy, because as I talked about in my previous Shield Hero videos, all the original readers, the source readers, were just saying that the Spirit Tortoise arc was bad, it needed to be rushed, etc., etc., and hearing that constantly, it made me sad, and seeing that source readers are now saying that, it's really good so far, and episode 7's great, and probably the best episode of season 2, I am ecstatic. Like, legit, I am ecstatic, because I love Shield Hero. I really love this series so much, and to see it just great again makes me so happy. So let's just get right into it. Shield Hero episode 7. If you have yet to watch it, I obviously highly recommend you do, because it's probably the best episode of the season, and potentially one of the best episodes of the series because of just the general content within it. So, what's happening? Well, as we know, at the end of episode 6, Naofumi and his group, Philo, Raftalia, they jumped into this world portal that basically allowed them to invade another world. Thus, we begin this episode, and Naofumi is in an entirely new region, and he's in an entirely different world, and we already see a lot of restrictions that are placed on top of him, which shows invading another world isn't necessarily easy. There is a lot of difficulties, and there's a lot of trials and tribulations you have to overcome to even be able to survive in a world that isn't your own. And what I mean by that is that Naofumi and his entire group have started off as level 1, and just seeing that alone is so fascinating, because once again, Shield Hero started off like that. The whole premise of Shield Hero, the start of the story, was that Naofumi, he couldn't really level up that well because he was the Shield Hero. He couldn't really do damage, he only had high defense, and there was nothing he really could do. Thus, we shift over to Raftalia joining his group, and then he was able to somewhat make some progress and level up, and then eventually he was able to start doing damage as the Shield Hero. So when you look at this episode, it is literally like the first arc of Shield Hero, but in a different way. And I feel like anyone that has been on the fence about Shield Hero and been wondering if Shield Hero is getting better or not, this arc is probably going to prove it to them. As an anime only, as someone that has no idea what's going to happen, and I really love the lore and world building, as I've talked about many times, I really think that this is a great way to really get people engaged in wanting to continue to watch, because I think the entire concept of invading another world is interesting, and seeing these type of restrictions placed on Naofumi just goes to show that, like Lark and all them, when they went to Naofumi's world, they didn't just come in there at level 70, 80, whatever. They had to start from level 1 and actually level up to a certain degree to actually be able to fight Naofumi and his entire group, which kind of goes to show just how under-leveled Naofumi's entire hero group is for, Glass and all them to be that strong at the end of Season 1. So I just do want to point that out. It does show that they're not efficiently leveling up, but I assume there might be some positives to invading another world since you have to start completely over. I'm going to assume there might be some form of EXP boost or something along those lines because of how you have to start level 1, which that's something I want to talk about. So Naofumi takes damage this episode, and obviously him being the Shield Hero, it's like, okay, he's supposed to take damage, he's supposed to be, the frontline tank, but obviously something as weak as, like, a Kappa that we know Naofumi can deal with relative ease in his original world, did a lot of damage to him. And I started to wonder what theoretically would happen if Naofumi died in the invaded world, because obviously, he's not in his original world. And if he was to, let's say, be killed in, this invaded world, would he actually truly die, or would he just be ejected and forced to go back to his original world? That's the question I have, and obviously I think that's going to get answered eventually. I do feel like that will, because Naofumi was pretty close. He took a lot of damage, and it also makes me wonder what would happen theoretically to Raphtalia. And, I mean, for all we know, Raphtalia could be permadead, and maybe there's some restrictions, like maybe the Cardinal Heroes, if they have, like, a vassal weapon, they are able to, like, respawn back to their original world. But if you don't have one of those weapons, like you're not selected as a hero, if you die in an invaded world, you're probably perma-dead. And so that's fascinating if that is indeed the case. Once again, this is just me throwing out some theories, but I do think that just the entire scope of this arc is huge, because there is a lot of potential here to really dive into how different these other worlds are, if they're either replicas or they're exact opposite or different. But it's clear as day that these other heroes that are summoned are also summoned from the same world as Naofumi. For instance, the person he met in this episode that was the hunting hero that is apparently friends of Glass and Lark and all of them, apparently she was also from Japan, which is kind of like a no-brainer, but it doesn't change the fact, though. It lets us know that these heroes in different worlds are coming from Japan pretty much into these new worlds to level up as heroes. And so we know for a fact there's probably been dozens of worlds that have probably been destroyed thanks to waves, etc. And now knowing about how, like, this new hero we met was from Japan, that means all these people are basically fighting their own allies that should be working together, but they're not, because this new world they're in is forcing them to fight each other. And I do wonder if this entire arc is going to open up Naofumi's eyes to the waves, to the worlds, the concept of the universe, etc., what's really going on here, because, I mean, why can't they work together? Like, theoretically, why can't Naofumi and other heroes, go to different worlds and help them out? Why is that? Is there a restriction to that? Does Naofumi's very presence being in that world right now cause more problems? You see, there's so many questions, and I cannot wait for this, arc to actually potentially dive into it, because I feel like we're going to be here for a while. I feel like we're going to be stuck in this different world for a while, because I don't really think Naofumi can get back relatively easy. Also, he doesn't know where Philo is, and I want to take an educated guess here. So, looking at how Raphtalia is and how she's, young/kid again, I'm going to assume that Philo is probably like an egg or something incredibly small, because she's level 1 again. We gotta remember, back when Philo was introduced, Naofumi had to kind of like level up a few times to carry her around before she fully, hatched and became what she is. So that is something to point out, is that I feel like Philo is probably back as a baby chick again, and she needs to probably just be around Naofumi's party for a bit until she probably hatches. Maybe she's an egg again or something. That is something to point out. I do wonder what's going on there, though, because, I mean, they left the labyrinth at the end of the episode, so let's just hope Philo wasn't left behind, which that's something I do want to talk about. So, one thing in particular that I was told by source readers is that apparently Raphtalia was supposed to be a part of Glass's group and Lark's group. That's what I was told. Now, I could be wrong with that. Obviously, I'm an anime only. I don't know. But I was told by source readers that was the case in the original source. However, Raphtalia is with Naofumi. So I'm gonna guess here, I'm going on a limb, and I'm gonna assume that Philo is potentially taking Raphtalia's spot. That's my guess. I could be wrong there, but that's my guess. They'll probably just swap the two characters, because obviously Raphtalia is more front and center and more iconic as a character than, let's say, Philo is. So I could definitely see that being the case if that's the direction they went. Now, once again, I don't know if this is true or accurate information. That's just what I've been told, so take that with a grain of salt. But anyways, Shield Hero, Episode 7 of Season 2. Was it good? Yes, definitely. 100% good. Definitely a return to form. Definitely getting a lot better than it was when it was at the start. And I'm happy that, the series is just really good again. I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy I could sit down and just be, positive about the story, about the series, because it pains me when I have to really just put something down that I really love. I hate doing that. And so happy. I'm happy. I'm extremely happy. So, Besides that, I guess let's talk about the hunting hero. So she was locked in a labyrinth, basically captured by another, country from what we found out. I feel like, judging by her personality and everything, Glass and Lark and all of them probably left her behind because she was probably too good-natured, and they didn't want to involve her in invading other worlds or having to do waves, etc. That's my assumption. Or maybe she was just trapped there and they thought she was dead or something. There's a lot of ways it can go, but that is my 2 cents on the matter. But that's about it. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it to any form or degree, please leave me a like. It does help me out a lot. Please subscribe as well. And with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.